Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Podcast Room Brighton's YouTube channel. We hope you're blessed. Dan,
Bless,
brother, bless. How have you been, my friend?
I'm actually living the dream.
Okay, you've been saying that quite a lot
I
recently.
George, I've been saying it all the time, but like, how can I not? I'm quite literally living the dream.
Amen.
So there you go.
Amen. Look, dreams come with a good journey. It comes with its ups and downs, but there's a lot to be grateful currently. I mean, we're still in our own studio. We're still here.
Let's
Another
go.
month. Let's go.
Come on.
But speaking of living the dream, Dan, today we have quite an exciting episode. We say it every week
We do.
because I think we get very excited about doing the episode. So every single episode is going to be
Justifiably
exciting
though.
Yeah.
You know, we get some really good people in.
I'm not going to lie.
We've done well.
We've done all right.
We've done great.
We've done all right. But yes, today we are joined by two special guests. I'm going to announce the first one. His name goes by Sean Ferguson, and he has been a 4 times British world champion for bodybuilding.
Damn.
That's a serious title, man. And we're going to get some good information from him. And it doesn't even just stop there. We have another guest.
This podcast today is going to be filled with gems, I feel. And joining him and joining us in the studio today is someone by the name of Paul Smith, entrepreneur and founder of Time for Nutrition supplement brand.
We're going to get a banger episode from this one today.
So excited, George.
Banger one.
So excited.
We hope you're looking forward to this. And without further ado, let's get into the episode.
Thank you to Jungleberry for sponsoring today's episode. George, what are you eating?
I am eating, which you're also eating, a Nutella bowl, which comes with fresh acai berries at the bottom, and you've got oats to layer it out, and then fresh bananas, strawberries, and then a nice dollop of Nutella. This is our personal favorite. It's so good, isn't it, Dan?
It's so good. So head over to Jungleberry now to get yours. And without further ado, let's head into today's episode.
Sean and Paul, obviously, thank you guys coming in today. If we can just get a bit of an insight to yourselves, don't mind who starts, just tell the audience.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll probably start. As I say, my name's Sean Ferguson. I'm a gym owner from Dorchester and competitive bodybuilder. Been so since dating myself in 1992 was my first show. Probably done about over 200 shows.
Wow.
In my career, and I've had the gym for probably about 35 years, and I've known Paul Smith here, good friend for that length of time since I've had the gym. We've been good friends through business and socially as well. We kind of done a few bits in our past, and so yeah, we basically, I think that the main topic conversation is our journey with Paul and what he and myself have done together. And I think we go right back to the beginning when I first started the gym in 1997. And I had basically a hardcore gym, just weights, free weights, etc. And Paul at that stage was just getting into the supplement industry himself, and he had a product line that was from a chap called Kerry Kays, who's a very famous chap, Kerry, and he's got an enormous history in bodybuilding himself, and he basically started a company called Chemical Warfare, which was a very basic supplement company that Paul became a representative for. So Paul was representative based in Portsmouth. Kerry was in Manchester. So the basically the deal was that Paul would deal with everything southwest, and Kerry was more up north. So yeah,
these were the days before selling online, wasn't it? So you
absolutely
bought in your own.
Yeah. So
it's not like it is now.
Correct. It was really just gym based, and it was all sold within the gym, people got protein. I don't think even at Holland and Barrett it was really a thing at the time. It was only later that it came about. So literally, if you wanted anything like a basic protein powder, it would be through. And not basic protein powder, but one that catered for, mainly bodybuilders, mainly strength athletes, people that were
With a name like Chemical Warfare and Skull and Crossbones.
kind of get the drift of where it was going. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, it had some very bizarre names at that time. The carbohydrate powder that was called dog food. Protein powder that I do remember was called Genesis. That was
And Die Hard was a weight gainer.
Die Hard with Bruce Willis on the thing was a weight gainer. Yeah. Oh,
Because I remember when they brought that out with
Yep.
Bruce
Yep.
Willis on, I said to Kerry, "Have you done that?" He's like,
Yep.
"Oh, just wait and see what happens."
Worry about it afterwards. Yeah, Kerry was very much like that. He was just do it and then we'll worry about it. Any repercussions, we'll worry about it. So that happened, and it was quite successful. I mean, they had a very basic product line, but we sold a reasonable amount of volume of products of that, and Kerry did okay, and with that, he took on a new company. He developed the company, took on a few people at that time. There's a power lifter that I used to go to his gym actually called Brian Batador, who was a power lifter at the time, and he's very, 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 very smart. Very
Always like a mad scientist, isn't he?
he is, and still is, very much so. So he would give some of the science ideas into the products to give better products that had a little bit more involved than just a basic protein powder.
But he's very cutting edge, Brian. So he'd come up
Yeah.
with a formula, and then it would be like,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
these bits are not legal, so they're going to have to come out. It was always
okay,
it
yeah.
was very
Yeah.
very advanced.
Yeah.
It still is now.
Yeah.
I still
Yeah,
do. I speak to
absolutely.
Brian regular. Still.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and Paul Keyside, I remember going up there, and him, we used to go there once a week and train, and he would be constantly trying to get us to lift heavier, go heavier, and probably why I've got a bad back now.
Oh.
It's partly in principle because of what he was doing, which he was getting us to lift ridiculous weights. But that was his thing. He was a power lifter, and he was quite interested in youngsters that were trying to better themselves within powerlifting. So yeah, Brian had a lot of influence in the products, and he did really well to develop a product. Pro Peptide was something that came aboard, a protein powder that was quite revolutionary at the time because it had like a mixture of different proteins. So normally you buy a protein, it'd just be one protein, but this one had a mixture of about 3 or 4 different proteins that basically, when you combine different amino acids and different proteins together, you get a far better balance of the amino acids, and the protein works a lot better. And also, there's different timings of the way the protein goes into the body. So another egg white, for instance, he would have that in the product, and that would go very fast. And then he'd have something called Marcella casein. Now, casein is something where you can have a casein that's a very cheap casein that they used to put in like really cheap protein powders, and it used to give terrible indigestion. It used to be, it was real rubbish basically. But Marcella casein was something that was totally different. But the thing about Marcella casein was it used to slow absorption rates down, so the protein would go in a lot slower. So that's why he would add that to the protein. Also, he added L-glutamine, which is another amino acid that's very good for recovery. He would add these. I think at the time, did it have the prebiotics in it as well? No, didn't have those at the time.
It was undenatured as well, so it's like a native way.
That was it. So normally protein powders at the time were heated at high temperatures, and
Well,
that
because it's what was mainly used in the industry was
For
a byproduct of cheese
byproduct.
making. So it
Yeah.
used to be a waste product,
Oh,
Yeah.
but the
They used to
way
throw it
that they
away.
use,
Wow.
the way that they use was specifically made for the supplement industry, so it's not
Yeah.
heat and acid treated. So it
Yeah.
maintains a lot of the beneficial sort of immunoglobulins and that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, like Paul said, because it was denatured, the quality would be far superior, to a level where it was a lot more digestible. So proteins that were not that were not denatured were very, very poor absorption rates. Even though you might have like a protein that was 90%, your actual absorption rate would be about 20%. It was that bad. So the product was revolutionary, and that did really, really well. I think you did really well sales wise with
That was the biggest seller for me at the time.
ProPeptide. The other ones at the time were trying to think back. Paul, what was the other popular ones?
I mean, that was our biggest seller by far. That was probably 75% of my sales was that one product.
One product.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
But I think almost now it's like
yeah,
the industry's gone backwards, because it seems to me that most of them, when you look at the ingredients now, skim milk powders and stuff put back in to bring the price down, and CMC,
Yeah.
the carboxymethylcellulose for
Yeah.
mouthfeel, but it's not
Yeah.
good for your
No.
for your microbiome and stuff. And it's
No.
it seems to be more now about fancy labels,
Yeah.
flavors, and
Yeah.
taste above
Yeah.
quality.
And price.
Mm.
Price seems to be king. So I mean, people far less looking at quality and more looking at just, well, that's £20, that's £40. I'll go for the £20 one. Which is ridiculous. I mean, I think those people that are quite knowledgeable, like myself, that obviously can appreciate the difference. That's fine. But your average guy on the street, he don't really know.
Not gonna know.
Yeah,
That's what I kind of. I don't really
Yeah.
know too much. I mean, I have a very basic knowledge. I mean,
Yeah.
I studied a bit of sports science
Oh.
back in college, but like, I don't. My knowledge isn't, the breadth isn't massive.
Yeah.
For like people who are going in wanting to
Yeah.
kind of improve their themselves via some supplements
Yeah.
and protein,
Yeah.
what's kind of the first thing they need to look for when they're looking at all these products? Like, how do you know?
I mean, organic is something that I think is important these days. A lot of the products are not organic, grass-fed whey, and there is a difference, definitely a difference in quality in that respect, and very few companies actually provide that.
And then, I mean, the native, the true undenatured, is a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
you'd probably find that some of them that are claiming that it's not, because when you look at the price of
No,
buying
there's
that
no way.
per ton,
Mm.
and then you look at what you can get it for on, say, on
Yeah.
Amazon,
Yeah.
it just doesn't
Yeah.
make sense,
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So going back to
But a lot of it is also, I think,
Yeah,
being
go
able
on.
to read the labels and
Yeah,
understand, because
that's what I'm saying. The
you can
layman,
be
they can't appreciate what's in it.
no,
Mm.
They got no
it's quite
concept.
easy to hide things in your labels, which is still legal, but it's in, why is it in there? It's just in there to bring the cost down. There's
Yeah.
no benefit other than
Yeah.
that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think as well, like similar to Dan, I'm like obviously the same in that because I don't even like tend to read the label either. I kind of tend to read like the front of it. It's like, oh, 25 grams per scoop.
That's
And
correct.
it's like, oh yeah, you're just gonna look at that and go, yeah, lovely. You're not gonna actually look at
It's
what's
a
behind it.
scoop.
True.
Yeah.
per
Did you know that?
Serving
that's-
is-
that's
yeah,
the
so they're very
point.
crafty how they do it.
They'll put in per serving, but how much is a serving?
But the thing is, if you look at two on a shelf and one's 60 servings and one's 40, and they're the same price.
Yeah.
But it does depend on, well, yeah, but what's the serving size?
Mm.
So, you know,
Mm.
So
some of it's
60 grams or
basic
30
stuff.
grams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Didn't
Yeah.
think of that.
Yeah.
But we'd have that side, because I had a retail outlet as well. People come in
Yeah.
and say, do you have a weight gain here? We got this one, it's 500 calories a serving. I need one that's 1,000. You're like, well, yeah, we'll take double then.
Yeah.
The ones that are 1,000, the
Yeah.
serving size, they're either full of fat or they're
Yeah.
double the serving size.
Yeah, absolutely.
With some of them,
Absolutely.
the tubs are huge.
Yeah.
When you actually look at it, to get 1,000 calories a serving, you've got like 8 servings in it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So going back to some of the history, when Paul got involved in CMP and Kerry, he actually managed to get me, because I was at the time I was just won British natural bodybuilding competition, British titles. I think I'd won about 2 or 3 by that stage, and Paul managed to speak to Kerry and get me some sponsorship with.
Well, there's not
with
many
the
people doing
company.
a show virtually every weekend, was there? and still do. I know.
And still do to this day. So I probably did 7 shows last year.
Wow.
And I probably have done at least 7 shows since '92. So that's where all those figures of like 200 odd shows come.
Wow.
Wow.
Impressive.
Yeah,
Impressive.
it's a fair few.
Yeah.
How did that love for it actually begin? I'd love to know.
I think it's an addiction. I don't think it's a love. It becomes just like anything when we do it so much, and it becomes part of your lifestyle and your
But don't you
life.
find though that a lot of people into it would, if they didn't have that, would have another addiction?
100%.
Do you see that a lot?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've definitely got that sort of addictive personality. And even as a natural bodybuilder, I would literally take every single supplement in Holland and Barrett. Literally everything. So the addiction side of things was kind of there. And Paul's right. If maybe if I hadn't gone that route, it wouldn't have been ideal for me. So this has probably
Alcoholic drug addict, probably.
He's honest about it. He's honest.
He knows me too well.
Yeah.
So went up to Kerry had a very famous gym called Better Bodies Gym in Manchester, where he had, even at that stage, he had a boxing ring in his gym. So he used to do boxing. So that was kind of always there with Kerry. And I went up and signed some paperwork, and got this through Paul, got this sponsorship, which was amazing, and I had that for a good few years. So thankfully to Paul for that. But there was an interesting story I have to go through, and as part of the sponsorship, Paul used to come up and watch a few shows with me and sort of join me. So he frequently come to the British final. And he'd be involved in like CMP as an entity, so there would be a stall, and he obviously would support the sponsored athletes. So I was one of those sponsored athletes. So we went up to Nottingham, and the day of the show, I was feeling quite good. It was, I was on form. I think I'd come first at the very first Classic Bodybuilder in 2007. And this was the next year where I was destined to, get top 6 easy and maybe win again, So Paul says to me, he says, "Oh, Sean," he says, "yeah, come and have a drink, mate. Come and have a drink." And I'm like, "Well, I don't drink." And he's like, "Yeah, it's all right. It's only it's like lemonade. Just relax you a little bit." So we go to the bar.
Good for vascularity as well.
He said, "Yeah." He said, "Good. Bring the veins out, mate. Bring the veins." So he says, "Try this." So he puts it on the desk, and I goes, "Oh, that's nice. What's that?" And he goes, "That's a TVR, mate." I said, "TVR, what's that?" He said, "A tequila, red vodka, and Red Bull."
What a combination.
Jesus Christ. For someone that doesn't drink. So I had one, and it's like, "That's all right. Do you want another one?" Yeah, go on. Let's have another one. So another one. Then another one. Another one. 5 down, and I was thinking, shit, I'm not feeling too good. And this was 30 minutes before I was due to go on stage.
Fantastic.
My God. What has Paul done?
So I managed to make it down to the pump up area. I managed to pump up. I went out onto the stage. Can't really remember what happened, to be honest with you.
Well, it's more like dancing than posing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was definitely entertaining. There was scores for entertaining. I was right up there. Because it was quite funny, because Kerry was actually doing the live commentary, and he was trying to get athletes to stand in line. I wouldn't stand in line.
Yeah.
He said, "Sean, stand in line." No, wouldn't stand in line. "Sean, do this pose." No, I wouldn't do this pose.
Just in your own world.
"Sean, do this, do that." No, not having it. Do my own thing. So we it went over, and the judges. It was 2 opinions. Some people saw the funny side and they thought it was hilarious. Other people were totally disgusted. I remember one of the judges, who's very famous, Mike and Lisa. They're very famous UK BFF. They actually started the PCA, which is a massive bodybuilding association, and she wasn't impressed.
Oh.
Yeah, she wasn't impressed. So she was one of the head judges, and she basically said, everyone go off stage and come back on again. because we're going to rejudge this.
Oh wow!
Oh,
First time ever
wow.
in the history of bodybuilding has anyone been taken off stage, given a mark, and then remarked. This is the first time ever.
Wow.
Yeah. So so they remarked me, and I would have got 3rd place, but because of my behaviour on stage, they put me back to 6th.
Oh, no. I bet at that point you're like, for God's sake, like, why did I do this?
Yeah. So
Incredible.
it is what it is. But
Can't win 'em all.
yeah. I mean, I did have good fun.
Good.
That's the main thing. It's a memory now. It's a memory.
thing, yeah.
So that was quite an event, and as I say, they couldn't give me less than 6th anyway, because my physique was that good. There was 10 competing, and 6th they
I was
couldn't.
going to say, there's only 6 in the class.
No,
Only 6 people turn up.
no. 10 at British final, at least, and Nottingham was always well attended, so I was in good company, and so that was an interesting story, and we carried on, and I must say that the next year, Paul came.
God. I'm here for this one.
Yeah, and there's another story. So Paul had a girlfriend at the time, and my wife Gemma came as well, and she did the same thing to Gemma. She said, "Oh, just have a drink, Gemma. Chill out, have a drink." So yeah, so she doesn't drink either. So 10 drinks later, she was feeling a bit,
Mhm.
She said, "Right, we're going shopping." Yeah, with my credit card.
Oh,
Mm.
So she comes back. I'm not joking you. It was like this amount of shopping.
Oh my
Clothes
god!
shopping.
Oh
She'd
my
taken her to every top clothes shop.
I paid the drinks, so
Well,
I saved you a little bit.
Yeah, a tiny bit. Yeah. So she, I mean, I think it was, well over £1,000 worth of stuff she put on this
Aye, aye,
my
aye.
credit card. You know what I mean? So
Not ideal.
oh shit. So I wasn't too impressed, and it was another incident where I thought, thank you very much, Paul. Yeah.
Yeah,
Seems to be a common theme.
yeah. Going forward, don't listen to Paul.
Yeah.
Definitely helped your career.
Yeah. So that was another one. And you say we've had various things like this, and Paul then still kept with CMP for a few years. Decided that because Kerry Kay's eventually retired, he
Sold when it
he
was big.
he sold his CMP business, which at the time was doing really well and was very profitable. So he did very well from that. Paul remained with the company, but Paul could just see that it wasn't what it was. We went away from kind of like looking at people that were proper bodybuilders to like every people on trying to cater for people on the street, that and there wasn't really any further thought process going into developing products.
Problem is, I think a lot of these supplement brands, when they get sold to a big concern, seem to disappear.
Yeah.
This has happened a few times now.
Yeah, and I think Kerry was a big name, and that carried a lot of weight for that company. So
Oh, definitely did.
So with Kerry behind it, it was everything. And I think it's the same with anything, even with my gym. If I'm not there, if I'm not the main head of it, it doesn't work. You take that bit away, that's the main ingredient. That's the bit that makes the difference. So we took that aspect away, and all intents and purposes, it still did okay, but not anything like what it was. And Paul could see the writing on the wall, and he was very into like developing the products, putting new things into the products that would make them better, and also move with the times, because at the time they just had vanilla banana, strawberry, just the boring flavors that we'd had since the 80s. There's nothing going forward. And Paul would go to meetings and they'd say, yeah, no, I'm not going to change it. Yeah, I'm not going to change it.
But it was that, and there was, I mean, they started supplying everyone, and the minute you start supplying a lot of these online discounters,
Yeah.
there's no margin left for trade anymore. And my thing was supplying gyms,
Mm-hmm.
so it became difficult because I'm telling a gym, this is trade, this is retail, and then you go online, and it's not much above trade, so there was no margin left. So I kind of looked at bringing out a protein product. They found out about it. I get a phone call saying, either you stop doing that or we won't supply you anymore. So kind of overnight, that 20-year relationship was gone.
Wow.
You know, so
So Paul then he decided that that he would develop his own product on similar lines to
well, basically because the peptide was the biggest seller.
biggest seller.
If I can do that,
no brainer.
slightly better flavour, slightly bigger size, slightly lower price, and tweak the formula a little bit, why would you buy the other one? So that worked really well, and that was done with Brian as well. Brian did the formulation for that,
the
which is
powerlifter that originally was the instigator of the original peptide. He got involved with Paul on that, and I think you added to the product some digestive enzymes.
Yeah, there's a few different bits we did to it, but there's definite improvement.
Prebiotics, probiotics that obviously help aid in that protein being absorbed. And as I say, he had some absolutely magnificent flavors. I mean, there was like
Well, it's just something different, isn't it?
what was it? Raspberry ice cream.
Yeah, I've had a few
ice
different
cream. What else was it, Paul? Toffee.
Oh, vanilla coconut milk, and we had some really good. Yeah, there's some good flavours.
Stiffy.
Stiffy.
Sorry.
Or hello.
What kind of flavour? Later, you got that Paul? Different supplement.
That was the test. That was it. How's
Toffee pudding.
How's your nicotine kicking in? I can see
an effect. So anyway, Paul developed the products very, very, very successfully, and he ran that company for a fair few years. He did very well again. I think you did it for probably, was it 10 years?
That's longer than that.
Longer than 10 years.
But I mean, we did really well, but we were mainly at the gyms, and then COVID hit. So overnight, all the gyms were shut.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of work on our online sales. We had a massive rebound after COVID and the gyms reopened because we got the gym sales back, and we were also doing the online stuff. But then our main manufacturer went out of business. So all of a sudden, we had to kind of try and find new manufacturers, and we went quite a few months with none of the good sellers. So we lost like a massive amount of business over that time, and it just really struggled to recover from that. So,
and I think like we were saying before, that people were getting more and more concerned about price rather than quality. You go and say, oh well, that protein's £40. I can get this one from Asda for 20. It's like, yeah, but it's nothing like it. Well, yeah, but it's still £20, isn't it? And I think this is what you probably had, wasn't it?
yeah, I mean, we try to educate people into how to read the labels, what to look for, that kind of thing, because there is a difference, definitely. And I think what I've noticed is I've got older, I can't. My stomach is not the same as it used to be. It's like when you're younger, you can eat, drink, do whatever you want, and there's no issues at all. Whereas I can't do that now.
No.
If I get cheap protein, it'll just go straight through me.
Yeah.
So I've got to. I'm very picky about. What, and I think for me now, I kind of just buy raw native whey.
Yep.
And if I want to flavour it with something, I'll use like cacao and maybe put some monk fruit in it as a sweetener and like all the natural stuff. I just feel way better with that now.
I think that's right. I think going back to kind of like really basic products that have got no additives, or as little additives as you can. Non-processed food, basically, is what we're talking about. Natural foods. Always. I mean, even when I first started bodybuilding, it was always natural foods are always going to be the base of your diet, and then your supplements are what you take on top.
Problem is when you look at highly processed foods, you look at say protein bars, just terrible. I mean, in the industry, kind of known as fart bars, aren't they? Because that's
They're just
all it does.
All
to
they
it,
are.
it's-
All they are.
I have
They're
noticed that.
worse. They're worse than them. They are a normal chocolate bar, basically, with some added protein. That's basically what they are.
Yeah, but the minute you start putting the alcohol, sugars, and stuff like
That's
that,
what I was about to say. They're even worse than a normal chocolate bar.
It's
The chocolate
horrendous.
bar has just got like just sugar in it, which in essence isn't too bad. But in order for them to make out that the protein bar is low carb, etc., they add something called polyols to it. Now they are horrendous for gut health. Oh, awful! They'll give you the shits like nothing else on earth, basically. Yeah.
Damn, stay away from protein.
This is so
This is
because
One of
this
the
is all I
things-
eat.
yeah.
Every post gym, I'm like
Stay
protein bar.
away, mate.
Stay away.
It's one
It's
of the
just
best things on the
convenient, isn't it?
planet.
Yeah.
It not only is it processed, but it's got some of the worst ingredients. The worst ingredients.
Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the actual absorption rate of that protein you're getting is even worse because, of course, most of it's going straight through you.
Mm.
Great laxative.
Great laxative, yeah. Empty the stomach,
Got
yeah.
a problem with digestion in that respect, so it probably helped. But no, it doesn't. I mean, and this is one of the issues that I found is that when I was doing PT at my gym, instead of like having my normal food in front of me, like what I was eating before, which was whole foods generally, I would be eating a protein bar in between clients, just for convenience. And over time, and like Paul says, as I got older, my ability to absorb those sort of foods was null and void, and I started developing massive distension, gut issues that I'm still fighting today. To be honest, it's something that I've had to address, and all protein bars and everything I had to completely cut out. I cannot tolerate them
Wow.
at all. So I've completely ditched protein bars and recommend anyone not to go on that path. So Dan, you got to come off on that.
I'm off.
Yeah.
See you
You
later.
sold it to me.
Yeah,
I
sold.
can't. No more protein bars.
You can't be doing protein bars, mate. No. But the trouble was, of course, eating like, your chicken and stuff in front of a client, it's just not very professional, is it? That's the trouble, isn't it? So you are.
Yeah, but I think you're also selling a lifestyle, so I don't think it's a bad thing. That's the
No,
problem, because people look at
no,
you and what you're doing
yeah.
and they think,
Yeah, true. And they think, oh, protein bar's okay.
yeah,
That's true. Yeah, never thought of that. Yeah, no, you're right. So maybe I'll go back to eating the bowls again.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Maybe that was the way to go.
Yeah, do it.
I wanted to ask about the kind of nutrition that you eat and the foods you eat while you're competing, like in the build up to a competition. Is it different to say, you're not competing, but you're just maintaining yourself?
Or I'm never really not competing. So
Fair.
it's just running the same all the time now. I mean, back in the beginning, the old adage was, especially as a kind of like a natural bodybuilder, was to kind of bulk up and to consume, a pretty poor diet, to be fair. Just lots and lots of calories, in theory, that you would build all this mass in the off season, and then you would diet it down, and the mass that you built would remain. Well, I found that to be a complete fallacy, because you ended up bulking up to, say, about 18 stone, and then you come back down and you maybe gain in pounds.
that's a lot of work as well, isn't it?
It was a hell of a lot.
Putting all that on just to get it off again, and then with the hope that you've gained a little bit.
It gained a little bit of muscle, and there was components of doing that. There was a famous guy called Lee Priest, who was a famous bodybuilder in the 90s, an Australian, who just off season would just live out of Kentucky Fried Chicken, McDonald's. Literally, he was renowned, and he at 5'1", I think he would get up to like 300 pounds.
Wow.
That's about like 19 stone or something crazy, and he'd be like.
The only thing is that you can't sort of argue that it didn't work for him.
That was the only thing.
But that's unusual, I think.
I think that's unusual, but a lot of people would see that and think, "Oh, yeah, that's the way." And me myself thinking, "Oh, that worked. That obviously worked for him. So why can't it work for me?" But he's a genetic phenomenon as well, and a lot of this that Paul will tell you with bodybuilding, it's all genetics. It is literally that. I mean, Paul was one of the things Paul was good at was getting professional athletes from America coming over here and doing seminars. He would pay for really big names.
But this was, again, in the early days when you just didn't see anyone over here. It was
Never,
before,
never.
but it was
No,
really before the internet was massive, and
there was
whereas
no
now
internet.
everyone's accessible, aren't they?
Mm.
Whereas I can remember the first one we brought over was Nasser El Sonbaty, and I can remember walking down the seafront with him in Pompey,
Yeah.
and people were like,
Yeah.
fucking hell,
Yeah.
Nasser El Sonbaty, Southsea
Yeah.
seafront,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Mm.
But like
Yeah.
now, it's
Yeah.
not really it's
Not
not
really a
such a
thing.
big thing anymore.
No,
I think
it's
everyone's
not.
so
No.
accessible, aren't
No, you're right. You're right. But you were probably at the time the pioneer of the industry, in that you would bring people over, and no one was doing that. No one was really doing that. Not the big pros. I mean, he had one. It was a British guy called Ernie Taylor, who was sponsored by CMP and by Kerry Case, and he was absolutely phenomenal at the time. He did a seminar at my gym just before a competition which was called the Night of the Champions, and Paul brought him over to my gym, and yeah, I mean, people were like, he's a person from a different planet,
they? Plus those
different
arms,
human being.
it just had the biggest set of arms you've ever seen. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
it literally is
But again,
arms. I'm not
genetics,
joking.
because
It's twice as big as your head.
That's
Crazy.
crazy.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
He has a big head.
Oh, what the hell?
have to work that hard on training arms. That was again genetics, wasn't it?
Again, genetics.
So if you wanted to get
Yeah,
advice, would be from
yeah.
him. It would be how to bring your legs up, because his arms grew anyway. He
That's
had
right.
to work very hard on everything else.
That's right. I think he neglected. He was a martial artist as well, so he was quite athletic built. But as I say, it's one of those genetic things with bodybuilding that as soon as he touched the weights, and like Paul said, probably didn't train that hard, but it just grew like a weed. He just, as soon as he touched the weights, bang. And like you say, genetically, his arms were that way inclined that they would just grow. He could lift a 10-pound dumbbell and it'd be like massive. Yeah. He was incredibly genetically gifted in that respect. So yeah, he came, and we also had another guy called Milos Sanchez came, which a Yugoslavian, is very, very famous in the industry still to this day, and he coaches a lot of top pros now. And Paul brought him over, and we had him over there. We had, I mean, Kerry Kays was very inspiring in the fact that he spent a lot of money in bringing the Americans over for competitions. So he would run something called the British Grand Prix, which was a show in Manchester that he, obviously his hometown, and he would bring all. So the Mr. Olympia competition is the biggest show on earth, and after that show he would bring all the Americans over. And offer them decent prize money to bring them over to compete in a show in Manchester, British Grand Prix, wasn't it? And he would lose like thousands of pounds for every show that he ever did. But it was just a love with Kerry. He just loved doing it. And a lot of this in bodybuilding, you're not doing it for the money. I mean, out of those 200 shows, I won one prize of £300 for an overall, and I've won best poser award of 150. That's it.
Wow.
And that wasn't the one when you were pissed, was it?
No.
Yeah,
No.
you owed them money.
I got a bonus figure for that. I got money for that. I had to pay extra. But bodybuilding is like that. It's not a sport where there's a lot of money to be made in it. It is literally, people that do it are just doing it for the love of it, and it's kind of it's still, I would say, a sport that's a closet sport. It's nothing that's ever going to be massive on like a TV scale or anything like that. It hasn't even been tried, I don't think. But Kerry, yeah, he did that, and Kerry was famous in the fact that he went on from bodybuilding to then coach top boxers well, not coach, but help top boxers.
Strength coach.
And he's a strength coach, yeah.
Okay.
And nutrition as well, I think. Of Ricky Hatton, for instance. Yeah, he was very in the days of Ricky Hatton. He actually got Ricky Hatton all the advice on nutrition. And again, Ricky Hatton was one of those people that used to get well out of shape, and he'd have to come in shape for a fight, and Kerry would aid and assist in that process, which he was very apt at doing. You know, he's very, very good at getting athletes in shape. So he would get Ricky Hatton in there, and he was with Ricky Hatton for quite a few years. He even went to Las Vegas and was the cornerman for Ricky Hatton as well. He did the cornerman stuff and still does it to this day. He's a cut man on a lot of the big fights. And all the footage you see Kerry Kay's in the background of like him and Mayweather, and they're having the to do and everything, and Kerry's right amongst it.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's quite a figurehead,
Mm.
in the fitness industry in general. And I think we're quite lucky really to have that involvement with him, because there's not many people in England that I would say is influential as him. He really is influential.
Is there anything that he said or taught, or the way he went about his life that kind of you guys have taken with you?
I quite liked his one-liners when he was MCing.
Oh, yeah.
It's also
Yeah.
brilliant ones. I
Yeah.
can remember one at
Yeah.
it was a show up in Manchester, and it was a junior class.
Yeah.
And he said, "Look, we got to say something about this guy.
Oh, I remember
18
that one.
years old, first time on stage. You know, he
Yeah.
could be out on a street corner taking drugs, but he's not. He's here in Manchester on stage taking drugs." It was
Everyone burst out laughing.
Brilliant.
His one-liners were unbelievable. It was absolutely
junior class was sponsored by the Catholic Church.
Oh,
It was just.
yeah.
But the thing is, the shows, you know, when you look at a lot of the audience are going to see one person, you've got to inject a little bit of fun into it, because it is, once they've seen their mate on stage, it's quite boring for them, you know. So
Yeah.
that was just giving it a little bit of injecting a bit of fun.
The excitement, wasn't it? Because like Paul says, I mean, you know, if you've gone to one bodybuilder, you've gone to 100. It's so samey after a while. You know, it really is. So if anything that can liven it up and make it a little bit different is always a bonus when it comes to shows. And Kerry was a master at that. And like I say, he did all the MCing at the shows. He did that, and I think, did he ever run shows, Kerry, or not?
Yeah, a lot.
He ran shows, so he ran bodybuilding shows.
He did the
And
one
that's
to
something that
qualify.
myself and Paul used to do. So Paul used to run a show in Portsmouth, and I used to run a show at Dorchester, and we did that for a fair few years. And so we were show promoters as well, basically. That's something that we did for years. But again, the trouble was, as we did with the proteins, you have 2 or 3 companies out there, and then all of a sudden you got 20. So the competition is just ridiculous, and it's the same with the competitions. So we had like one called NABA, one called UKBFF, and that was kind of it. There was like 2, and now we've got like 20 again.
That's what made it more difficult running a show, because if you had a guy like your mate was going to compete, and he competes once a year, maybe twice, because he's qualified for the British, you'd go and see him, even if you're not really into it. But if he's doing it every weekend, in the end, it's like, so that's what I noticed. Our numbers on stage went up, but the audience it started to go down, because I just think it was, and also we used to, when the shows are smaller, we'd have like different guest spots and stuff like that. But the show got so big, you had no time for it anymore. So it was just get them on, get them judged, get them off, get the next one on. So it was, you had to run the show. That was good because of the numbers, but it wasn't that good to watch, because you'd go and see your mate compete, and then that would be it. You don't stick around for the rest of it, do you?
No, that's right. And with shows, as Paul instigates there, it is all about bums on seats. That makes a difference. These days, it's probably a little bit different, because entry fees are just ridiculous. I think that's the way they make their money these days, show promoters, because they'll charge like, I mean, I've paid up to like £300 for entering a show.
Wow.
You know, these ones that they do from America, they bring people over now from America. They're called Two Bros, and it's just a money making scheme. And they don't get so many from the audience. It's mainly just from the competitors because they
But
charge
that's
so
where you
much.
got to be dedicated. If you think you're paying 300 quid
Yeah,
to hopefully win a trophy that's not worth 300 quid,
it's worth
it's.
two quid.
But that's what I mean. It's
Yeah. So again, we go back to the old thing, don't we, Paul? Where you're not doing it for the money.
No,
You know,
100%
you're
not.
really not doing it for the money. Because if you were doing it for the money, you'd be playing golf or something like that.
Yeah.
So is that why you're still doing it now? You just have a love for it?
It's a love for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's something that.
What would you do if you weren't doing it?
Yeah, exactly.
That's
exactly
the thing.
it.
It's having
I
that regimented regime, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and as Paul said with COVID, I mean that really hit me bad. I had kind of like 3 properties, and I've had to sell every single one just to keep the gym going. You know, it's been really difficult, and it's only now that and a lot of gyms went bust. I mean, I'm sure you heard of stories of gyms
Oh, yeah,
going bust, Paul,
Mm.
over COVID. Just because the government stopped people exercising, which was crazy at
Yeah.
the time, wasn't it? You know,
Yeah,
Don't-
lockdown was a
go to the
wild
supermarket,
time.
you can't go to the
Wild
gym.
time.
It was mad. So obviously, we as gym owners, we still had all the bills coming in, and we had to if you either paid those bills or you stopped. So it is my love, it is my passion, and it's something that like Paul says, I can't think of anything else I do. If I didn't do that, then it's kind of my existence. Is what I live for. So it was very difficult, and
He's not that good at drinking, so.
yeah, Paul's going to beat me every single time on that score. He is, he's
Pub fit.
he's club fit. He's club fit.
Was there someone like when you were younger growing up that
Yeah.
kind of got you into
Yeah.
bodybuilding? Like, is it?
Yeah. I mean, I think the original thing of when I was around in the 80s, it was all Sylvester Stallone and it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, all those, and they were top film stars. So kind of that was inspirational, I think, to most people my age at that time.
Mm.
That was the reason they got into weights and into weight training was to emulate those characters. The Rambo films especially, Stallone used to get in phenomenal shape, didn't he, for those? And I mean, even today, you see some of the Rocky films and things like that, and they're not as good as the old ones. I don't care what you say. They're not as in good shape. They haven't got the characters going on. Because I think Sylvester Stallone and Dolph Lundgren, I mean, they were on like just tuna and water for like weeks on end to get in that sort of condition for that Rocky 3 or Rocky 4 rather show. They were just went absolutely crazy, and there's no one that goes to that sort of limit now. It just doesn't happen. So all the creeds and that, that they're good in their own way, but they're not like the old style. So that's how I kind of got into it, was through those sort of characters. I think that was the initial thing, and then just seeing some of the stars at the time that were competing on stage, got into reading Flex magazine and Muscle and Fitness. It was one of my claims to fame is that one of the things I did was I don't know if you've ever heard of Chris Bumstead, but he basically he's been very, very famous as what they call the classic bodybuilder. He was the top classic bodybuilder for years in America, and classic bodybuilder. If I explain, it's like a height to what they tried to do is bodybuilding was getting to the IFBB, the head of the federation. They were thinking that it was people were getting too big, right? So what they wanted to try and do was make the bodybuilders smaller but more aesthetic. So what they did is they brought out a class called the classic class, which meant that you couldn't be more than a certain weight for your height. All right. So if like Chris Bumstead's like 6 foot whatever, he couldn't be a certain weight. So it limited the size of competitors. Right. And I was one of the very first people to do the British one when they brought it in Britain. So it started in America, came over to Britain. I was the very first person to do it. And I was the very first winner
Wow.
of that competition in 2007. I was I won the very first classic bodybuilder, and then like I say, it's gone massive now to the point where and I did very well in the first World Championships. That was the very first World Classic Bodybuilding Championships. Out of 70 athletes, it was 2-day event, and they judged on one day, and they gave only 6 places out on to the second day, and I was one of the 6. So yeah, that was massive. And then Chris Bumstead came along, and he just took over. I mean, any like young schoolboy and ever would try and emulate him because he had such a pleasing physique. It wasn't necessarily massive, still big and muscular, don't get me wrong, but not like on the scale of the what we call the open classes, where it's just mainly just size.
It's more of a freak show, isn't it?
Hmm.
Which
It
is
is.
good.
It
You know,
is. It is. There
I
is an
think the
element
problem
to
is a
that.
lot of people would look at that and think,
Yeah.
I just would never want to look like that, or
No.
couldn't.
That's right.
So it made it
That's
for
right.
someone with your
Yeah.
shape.
hmm
That's never going to be
No.
something that you could do.
No, it
Whereas
isn't.
the
No.
classic just
No.
works for you, doesn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Paul's right. I mean, I did go through a stage of trying to get into the open class and trying to, but I haven't got the genetics for it. You know, that's clearly evident. If you haven't, and I think Paul said this to me one day. He said, "Mate, he said, if you haven't made it within like 5 years, you ain't going to make it. That's it. That's how it is." Like Ernie Taylor, you know, touches weight, expands, grows. That's it. And I think there's just a genetic aspect to this where you either a genetic responder or you're not, you know. And I think there's levels to it. I mean, I know people that I train at the gym that have got zero response to weights. I mean, they can train all they like and nothing seems to happen, and then I've got a guy that hardly trains at all, or you know, doesn't train very hard, and he's massive. He goes massive, you know. So again, it's all about genetics, and it allowed me to be competitive within a box, if you like, where I could do very well just through my condition and my shape rather than
And also
size.
made healthy.
And remain healthy, because there's no doubt that these open bodybuilders, you know, he's talked about Paul described Nasser Al Sampati, for instance. You know, he's died now, you know, unfortunately. And
I think that when you look over the years, the ones that are huge that have got very good genetics are still here.
yes,
That's the difference. But I think if you
Yeah,
haven't,
but
they're pushing it so hard.
But I think the other thing,
But-
Paul, is that they've downsized. People like Dorian Yates, for instance, who was CMP, he's half the man that he was. He's a quarter the size, so he's downsized himself. Now, there's no way you can maintain that sort of mass, you know, 300 pounds. Go to the old thing of saying that you don't see many 90-year-old 300-pound men or women out there, do you? Well, there just isn't.
Just can't. Yeah.
It just doesn't exist because it's a weight aspect. And Paul's absolutely right. For longevity, it comes down to often, even if you're muscular and appear reasonably healthy, it's not in essence healthy because your body's still carrying. In fact, they reckon it's worse because obviously all your veins and capillaries have to supply blood, more blood, and there's more blood flow to muscle than there is to fat. So I mean, actually, to be smaller and fat is actually not excessively fat, of course, but I mean a level of body fat and being smaller, you generally live longer. People live longer from a
Interesting.
longevity point.
Yes.
But I think we need a balance here, and we need to look. You still want to look aesthetic, don't you, Dan?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I mean, you know, and I think there is a level there where you can still look aesthetic and still look good at, you know, nice athletic physique, you know, not ridiculously low body fats, but a nice level of physique where you're not too heavy. You're doing your daily cardio, your daily fasted cardio, you're adopting the healthy lifestyle. And I think that's what myself and Paul are very good at now. And I think that's one of the reasons why.
The thing is,
So
most
really-
people, as you get older, you have to, don't you?
I think we
most
think
people
more and more of
start
it.
getting
Yeah.
injuries or, you know, health issues or something.
Yeah. But a lot of people don't. You know, that seems to be the thing. I mean, we're lucky that we are taking on those aspects of life which we feel are important, and we're always very up to date on all the very latest supplements, the latest research that's coming available, because it's a magnificent time at the moment. There's a lot of new supplements out there now, which one that is very popular at the moment is something called methylene blue. Um, it's a dropper that you put under the tongue, basically, and it's a substance where I think it was actually a food dye back in the day, and they found it to have massive health benefit. It was brought to the attention of the media by R.F. Kennedy. So he is
Okay,
basically
Junior.
R.F. Kennedy Jr. was actually seen on a plane with a glass of this stuff because it's bright. It's literally bright blue. And weirdly enough, when you go to the toilet, that becomes bright blue as well, which is a little bit worrying. Yeah, a few people have taken it and said, "Have you ever you got blue pee?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's normal, mate. It's all right." But it's in no way detrimental. It's got a lot of health benefits to that, for instance, and I think both myself and Paul take those latest sort of trends of things like that. Joe Rogan is another person that's big on these. They're kind of all longevity things that we do to to try and extend life. Things like Paul does, for instance, and I'm started doing it a lot. Is using the cold plunges and also sauna cold plunges, so hot and cold as therapies. I mean, they do say that people that use saunas live generally 10 years more than people that don't use saunas, So from a health point of view, those sort of things.
But it stresses, isn't it? You need to get out of breath, you need to lift something heavy, you need to get hot, you need to get cold, and you need to get hungry.
Yeah.
Which is like the intermittent fasting thing, which can be
Yeah.
beneficial. And again, I had some problems with my stomach, and
Yeah.
I find intermittent fasting for me is completely cured that.
Yeah.
It's almost like giving your gut a bit of a rest every day, from
Yeah.
piling food in all the time.
Do you do that every day?
Monday to Friday, normally, because weekends, if we're out somewhere, we'll tend to get breakfast or something. But I tend to eat at 1 o'clock's my first meal. But I feel good every day, particularly if I had a weekend where I've eaten a lot. It's almost like a reset again come Monday,
Yeah.
And how long do you fast for in total?
I my last meal will be about 7:30 in the evening, then I'll eat again at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So
Nice.
it's just that every day. It's a smaller eating window, but again, I found as I've got older, I just don't need as many calories as I used to have.
No, I think that's a good point, actually. I mean, I don't know if it's actually a change in metabolism or maybe, consciously you're not doing so much. I don't know. But definitely, as we get older, your need for calories decrease. 100%. You don't need so
The
many.
need for protein actually increases.
I mean, need for protein increases is right. Yeah. So yeah, and I think the fact that absorption rates of the protein aren't as good as they were, that means that you need to actually take more protein aboard than before, so that those not only from a point of view that your body does need them, but you need to take more so that you get adequate amounts actually being absorbed by the body. That's the point. So yeah, I mean, we both now have still a very regimented nutritional regime, and supplementation routine. And like we say, we all do now he does a hot tub, I do a hot tub, well, I swim as well, and all those elements every day, just day in, day out.
And why do you still do it though? Like, what's the reason for the discipline now?
Like we say, I mean, it's just a feeling of when you do it, a feeling of well-being that you get from doing these things, that you don't get if you don't do it, basically.
I just like the
It's
routine.
feeling well.
Yeah, because I've not. We sold the business over a year ago, and I've not really worked for a year. I was just very aware that I didn't want to get lazy, so still Monday to Friday, still up at 6 doing cardio and stuff.
Yeah.
Everything still in place because it's too easy to just not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just feel better. It was so. The only time I won't get up and do it is if we've agreed the night before that we won't, because we've been out or we've had something on. But otherwise, even if I slept bad, I'll still be up at 6, do my cardio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, you're always glad that you've done it. There's nothing worse than thinking,
Yeah.
"Oh, snooze the alarm," and then
Yeah.
you don't do it, and then all day I think, "Fucking pussy."
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah. 100% right. Yeah.
Okay, so we're coming towards the end of the pod at the minute, but
Yeah.
I've got kind of 2 final questions. I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you guys 1 question specific each, because
Yeah.
you're both very knowledgeable in your own
Mhm.
in your own ways.
Yeah.
So Sean, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
What is one thing you've learned throughout your career of doing bodybuilding that you think anyone listening could take on themselves?
I think what I've learned is kind of with it is discipline, and it's taught me discipline. Doing what I've done has taught me discipline, and that there has to be balance in life. I think that's the other key. So with everything, in years gone by, I probably, and I'm still guilty of it to this day. I have to admit, I do excessive amounts of cardiovascular exercise, for instance. I just like Paul. I just like doing it. That's the trouble. So kind of like, yeah, all right, it might be slightly detrimental, but I just like doing it. So, and I like going for these, as I say, my new regime. So over the years, learning the discipline, but also learning about trying to balance myself as much as possible, because I think moderation and everything is key in life. Yeah, that's that. I think if there's a takeaway message, I'd say that moderation is with everything, whether it's food, whether it's exercise, whether it's supplementation. It's all about taking small amounts, little and often, of whatever it is. I'll give you an analogy. For instance, water, purest thing on earth. Okay, there was a woman that did a game show, and one of the this competition said that you had to drink as much water as you could in half an hour. So this woman consumed, and this was just to win a Nintendo Wii. You know, she took like 12 liters of water aboard in half an hour. Died on the scene. Yeah, couldn't bring her back. Couldn't revive her. They had medical people on the scene. Couldn't revive her.
She won though, didn't she?
She won, yeah. But there was a cost, and I think that's the point. Anything excess generally bad, and we're talking water, purest thing on earth, yeah. But yeah, in excess, killed her. So if she'd have taken that water over a period of week, wouldn't have been an issue, would it? Because everything was so much in such a large amount that she died. Just from water. Water, I think we call it hypoxia. I think where your blood becomes so dilated and dilute that the body just can't handle it. So moderation and everything, balance and everything. Even like Paul does, he has an old drink here and there. That's fine. It's not an issue. If your diet and training and everything is still on key, you can do that. And even people, they say there's a certain amount of arsenic, for instance, in our food. Well, a little bit your body can cope with it. Actually, they think that it's quite good for you, for your body to actually react to these foods. There's a response where your body actually gets benefits from. But then if you were to overload the arsenic, obviously you're going to die. Again, too much of a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my takeaway message: is moderation in life and moderation in everything is the key to longevity, and the key to living a good life, and discipline. Must have discipline. You must discipline yourself to do what you do on a daily basis.
God, love the answer.
Good
It's great.
takeaway message. Wow. Yeah.
Paul, for yourself then, I didn't know whether to go for a business question or a supplement question.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with a business question. When you took it upon yourself and took the risk to kind of do your own venture and your own supplement brand, what did that whole process teach you about yourself?
It's a difficult one because I've never really planned that far in advance with anything. So a lot of my stuff's been quite reactionary. So, when we had that call to say, either you stop doing this or we won't supply. I mean, it would have been a lot easier to think we'll just stop doing it then. But you kind of think, one of the reasons I was self-employed, so I don't have to put up with this shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but so when that our contract sort of ended there, we had one product in 3 flavors. That was it. So we had to kind of start again. So it was just hard work. But I just didn't want, the first kind of contact I had with the new MD was he calls me up and threatens me, and you think, yeah, I just won't do that then.
No.
But there was no big plan. It was just, shit, we're going to need to get some stuff out of here now pretty quick. So, but yeah, I mean, it worked. But I think, we got to the point where after all the stuff with COVID, and then we had a really good rebound, and then I just got a bit fed up with it, and this thing of, I could have done much better by doing a shitty product. But what I didn't want to do really is bring out products and think, yeah, I wouldn't take these. So it was, so I'm still at a point now where I've done like 12 months of not working. So I need to find something else to do because my income's gone down and my expenditure's gone up. It's like, it's one of those things.
Yeah, as all of us.
Yeah. So this can't carry on. But
no, you're right. Yeah.
So I just think really it was just hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and taking a chance. I mean, luckily I was in a position where we didn't, I had a load of stock. We didn't have any money out, so it wasn't like I had a bit of a buffer there. But it was a stressful time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, for sure.
Hard work, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes hard work can outwork talent, can't it? Because I wouldn't say that I'm particularly.
Yeah, and from my point of view, my genetics for bodybuilding weren't very good, but the hard work has worked for me because I've managed to achieve what I've achieved with what I consider very average genetics.
Last one then. If you could sit down with anyone on your own podcast, imagine it's in here, and you could sit down and talk to anyone in the entire world, dead or alive, who would you choose and why?
Yeah, do you know what? I mean, my dad died in 2018, so I'll probably like another one with him. Because there's a few things, after someone's gone that you think, oh, maybe stuff that you like now. I think the stuff I can't ask that I could have done, or stuff you should have said, or whatever. So that's just that for me. There isn't anyone else.
It's the same for me, to be honest.
Is it?
Exact same for me. Yeah, my dad passed in 23, and there's a lot that could have been said.
It's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, but then like you just sit and you go, oh, can't have that now. But
Yeah. I think I'm in agreement with that as well, to be honest with you. There's a lot that my dad and I, we never got on. He never agreed with what I did in terms of what I was doing. He thought it was, it was the end of me. It was going to be, it was going to ruin me. And there's probably a lot that I could probably go back and say, have another discussion about. Certainly, yeah.
guys, thank you so much for that. That was a
Thank
great
you.
episode. If you have enjoyed, please do hit the like button and subscribe. We're going to leave the link to your guys' Instagrams, whatever, down in the description. So please do go check that out. But for us, that's over and out.